Hey, check it out! They just released a brand new Kirby game. Well, it's not really brand new, it's an old, new, deluxe, sport, remastered edition, HD remake. I don't know, man. Here's some useless facts. Even though this game was originally released for the Wii, the whole concept began right after the release of Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards for the Nintendo 64. In fact, this game underwent an 11-year-long development period with 3 versions of the game that were proposed. The first version of the game was very similar to Crystal Shards, featuring 2D side-scrolling gameplay but rendering players in 3D. It was also meant to support 4-player co-op gameplay. The game was shown at E3 in 2005 and was supposed to release the same year, but was eventually scrapped due to difficulty in programming the multiplayer part of it. The second version of the game was meant to be a 3D game featuring an open world style gameplay. The only thing we got from this prototype so far is this picture, which kind of reminds me of Super Mario 3D Land with the way the camera is placed and all of those blocks all over the place. This prototype didn't meet HAL Laboratories' quality standards, so it was ultimately cancelled. Finally, the third prototype was meant to be a 2D side-scroller, but with a very different art style. It was supposed to be some sort of pop-up book, kinda like Yoshi's Story on the N64. This art style actually reminds me a bit of Wario Land Shake It for the Wii. The team realized that the reasons all these games failed was because they spent way too much energy on the multiplayer aspect of it, so the focus shifted back to a single player experience first, which eventually led to the game we now know and love. But when Nintendo revealed and announced Kirby's Epic Yarn at E3 2010, everybody thought this was the final nail in the coffin for that Kirby GameCube/Wii game we were supposed to get years ago. Only to be surprised 1 year later at E3 2011 when the game was shown again, this time under the title Kirby Wii. Oh, by the way, did you know that this game is called Kirby's Return to Dreamland here in America, but the Europe version is actually called Kirby's Adventure Wii? While this title made sense for the Wii version of the game, I have to admit that it's kind of funny that the deluxe port that just came out for Switch still features the word Wii in the title for the Japanese version. This remastered version now features outlines around the characters, bringing back the comic book vibes from that early cancelled prototype. I wonder if this was a reference to that prototype. Speaking of, remember that 3D prototype that was also scrapped? Did it eventually turn into Kirby and the Forgotten Lands for Switch? Cause you know, that one's in 3D. So as you can see, the American cover shows Kirby in an angry/menacing fighting pose, while the Japanese cover shows him being super happy and cute. There's actually a lot of Kirby games that do that too. I made an entire YouTube short on that topic, and as you can see, it's pretty funny. There's a lot of anti-piracy methods put into this game. If you load it on a pirated Wii console, it will freeze after booting. But if you manage to get past this, well, you'll freeze after trying to get past the title screen. And if you also manage to get through this one as well, well, the game will freeze again after you push main mode. Dang, they really didn't want Kirby to be pirated. So you see this scary looking thing? It's actually called a Hearbell, and it is an unused enemy from the game. Originally, it was supposed to eat Kirby, but in the end, it was just cut and it's going to eat no one. I guess that's for the better. So if you grab the first letter from every single level that leads up to the final one, you'll get CROWNED, which actually spells crowned. This is a reference to the final boss, who's actually using the Master Crown to fight you. The Chinese localization of the game still features the Crowned acronym, but in order to do so, they had to invent some very interesting names for the worlds. My favorite one is the letter O, which roughly translates to Singing Praises of the Ocean Gull. Okay, sure. As for the French version of the game, it actually spells out a whole different word. You'll get the letter P-A-R-F-A-I-T, or parfait, which means perfect. Interesting. This game introduces super abilities, which are way more powerful versions of the copy abilities. but 2 more super abilities were supposed to be in the game but were cut. The Super Spark and the Super Cutter were planned, but we will never see them, sadly. Surprisingly enough, those abilities were not revived in the deluxe version on the Switch. Instead, the Switch port adds 2 copy abilities, Mecha Kirby and Sand Kirby. While you have the Fighter copy ability, if you press down, then right, and then the attack button, Kirby will perform an instant Mega Force Blast, which is just a Hadouken from Street Fighter. There's a total of 26 copy abilities in Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, as well as 5 super abilities, which is a lot of ways to transform Kirby. The enemy, Wolf, was actually changed during development. Here is the original one, and here's the final one. Oh, he got a blue helmet now. Cool. So the way this game runs so smoothly is by only loading the chunks you can see on screen and then getting rid of things you don't see. If we take a free cam and we zoom out and look at it from afar, it looks like this, which kinda looks weird, but if it makes the game run so smooth, then I'm all for it. So the original GameCube version of the game was so far in development at one point that holographic promotional cards were given to the press. That's so cool! The Rock ability transforms Kirby into all sorts of things, which is pretty cool looking, and the deluxe version adds new transformations, including the car from Kirby and the Forgotten Land, or the big round Kirby from Dream Buffet. The GameCube Kirby prototype allowed Kirby to turn enemies into helpers, a mechanic that wasn't in Kirby's Return to Dreamland, but was actually reused in the Switch game Kirby Star Allies. So there's those flowers that Kirby can interact with all over the place, and if you're playing as a different colored version of Kirby and you interact with those, they will turn the same color as the Kirby that actually touched them. Cool detail. The deluxe port introduces a brand new game mode, Magolor Epilogue, the Interdimensional Traveler, which explains what happens to Magolor after Kirby's Return to Dreamland. And beating this epilogue will also reveal why Magolor is actually the shopkeeper in Kirby Clash Deluxe and Super Kirby Clash. Whoa, I didn't know there was a deep Kirby lore. This game and its remake were generally well received by critics and gamers alike, getting praise for the beautiful environments and vibrant graphics. Kirby's Return to Dreamland sold 1.7 million copies when it first launched on the Wii, which, to be honest, isn't a lot for a game released on that console. I bet you the Switch port will sell way more. Thanks a lot for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, tap the cards on screen, smash subscribe, smash like, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!